Well, not long now before we actually get those final results from the IEC. The official results going to be announced tomorrow. The ANC has suffered big losses, as you've seen throughout the day, while the DA kept its second position in most areas. So we are, of course, going to see lots of hung councils this election. Let's unpack this with election analyst at eNCA, Wayne Sussman. Wayne, let's talk about that, right? We know that we're going to see hung councils this time around, but stable coalitions is going to be key to success.
Yeah, so John Steenhuisen was speaking about stable coalitions. There have been some stunning results in the last few minutes. We go to Mfuleni in Vanderbijl Park, where I just do not see a path. So first of all, the ANC's lost its majority. It's lost 13 seats there. And I've been crunching the numbers, looking at the coalitions. I do not see a path to the ANC having a stable coalition unless it works with the DA or the EFF. And that plays itself out. Again, in Mogale City, on the West Rand, we see the same thing. There's no path to stability without the ANC working with either the DA or the EFF. And this played itself out in Metsimaholo in the Free State, the exact same thing. Those results have just come in. No stable government without doing business with one of the big parties.
So do they put their political fights aside when it comes to coalitions? Because we know that the EFF, Julius Malema in particular, has a huge disliking for the ANC after he was booted out as the youth leader. And whether or not he's going to consider any coalition with them remains to be seen. The DA the same regarding the ANC and the EFF. And then you have Action SA who says, we're not going to work with the ANC at all. What happens then?
100%. And remember, as you said, the DA made a firm commitment to its voters that it will not work with the EFF. However, let's think of residents on the ground. JB Marks Municipality in Potchefstroom and Mfuleni Municipality in Vanderbijl Park have not enjoyed the best tenure, the best leadership over the last 5 years. So do you stick to your principles and your campaign promises on the one hand to say, I'll never work with that party? Or do you say, here is a golden opportunity where we can offer a difference to the voters who haven't experienced the best in service delivery in the last 5 years and try achieve the impossible? Yes, there are huge ideological gulfs, and yes, there are very different wants and expectations out of these coalition agreements. But unless big parties make bold decisions, I'm very worried about the stability of these important councils over the next few years.
Yeah, so for those tuning in, let's look at the big metros that are obviously important, where the majority of our viewers are actually, and Johannesburg in particular. What are you seeing there in terms of the latest?
And again, look, the numbers haven't changed much, but still that same pattern. The ANC have lost ground. The Democratic Alliance, who's the official opposition, have lost ground. There's no path to a stable government unless the ANC does a deal with one of the big parties. And there we have to include Action SA. They're no longer a small party in the city of Johannesburg. They're a major player. They're currently in third place. Or the DA and Action SA and the Freedom Front have to do a deal with the Red Berets. So strange bedfellows, but we have to make decisions here which will ensure service delivery improves.
And Ekurhuleni, the ANC looks, likely to lose that as well, but who does it work with there?
Again, the same question, the same challenge. The DA are the second biggest party. In Ekurhuleni, the EFF are the third biggest party. Then you have parties like the Vryheidsfront and Action SA and the IFP. There are, again, they're going to have to go. I think for the sake of residents, you might need to look at betraying some of your core campaign promises. Otherwise, it's going to be 5 years of chaos.
Yeah. And let's talk about residents a bit more, because this is about service delivery, which we've seen failures in across our country for many, many years. And when it comes to coalition governments and what the mayor would want to do compared to what all of the parties want to do, does it ultimately work in the best interest of citizens with coalition governments over a single party?
Well, that's a great question. So I think coalition agreements, it needs to be made more transparent. These are often done in smoke-filled rooms behind closed doors. We need to see copies of those coalition agreements. We need to know how the parties who we voted in are going to better serve us in the next 5 years. Because otherwise we'll have a continuation of what we've experienced in the last 5 years in places like Tshwane, in places like the city of Johannesburg. We cannot afford that. The time is critical right now for better service delivery for all South Africans. And that is why coalition agreements need to be done to ensure that the residents come first, that service delivery is prioritised, and that patronage is relegated to the back of the queue.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the insight. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you throughout the night here on eNCA election analyst Wayne Sussman.